All right, well, we'll call the CJCC Operations Committee to order. It's May 3rd of 2023. Call of the roll. I don't know how we do that electronically now, but I'll let Sarah do that.
Sure, I'll just do some introductions here. So I'm Sarah Benedict, Dunn County Criminal Justice Coordinator. We've got our CJCC Chair, District Attorney Andrea Nodoff. Got our Clerk of Courts, Katie Shalley. We've got our new Victim Witness Coordinator, Sarah Aho. We've got our DOC Field Supervisor, Michelle Barrow. And we've got our Pretrial Services Coordinator, Sandy Frigo, here to present. And then we should have some more folks joining us later
on. So I know Rick and Sarah Aho are new, but the minutes were included as part of the packet. Is anyone willing to entertain a motion to approve the minutes or any additions or corrections anyone wants added?
I can move.
I guess I think I can. I'm going to second the motion to approve the minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All of those in favor of approving the minutes from March 1st of 2023, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we've got approval of the minutes from March 1st of 2023. Assuming we don't have any public comment.
No public comment.
Okay, so next item would be consideration for actions to be taken by the committee. Do you think we should wait for the judges on that, Sarah? Or
well, I can just give a little bit of summary to get everybody up to speed. This first option is a new grant option, is exclusively for law enforcement. We did bring this to the CJCC at the April meeting, and it was really decided to bring it to the ops meeting for consideration. I'll let Rick kind of weigh in on this, but from my perspective, I don't think that there's a whole lot of interest from the Sheriff's Department. I did share this with our behavioral health officers and really not getting much traction. These are very specific grants. We currently have grants for law enforcement deflection and diversion. So I guess from my perspective is I think we've got enough funding to get us going right now without taking on another grant, but I don't want to speak for Menominee PD, so I'll defer to Rick for his comments on this grant opportunity if you've had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, I concur. The one I was looking at was a state grant. It was for a lot of stuff that we wouldn't qualify for. And I think the only thing we'd want if we did it is if you wrote it, Sarah, and you could use us for a tag along if you needed the funds. But again, this is that qualified for us, so we'd take a deferral, I guess.
Okay. You know, the Sheriff's Office does, if they're interested, they would have until May 22nd. So I can reach out to Kevin to see if he's interested in these additional funds, and if so, we can start to put that together, but it's very specific and I think redundant of our medication assisted treatment grant that we have currently going on, and then the law enforcement deflection diversion grant.
good. And then, so I think we can move on then to the next item, which would be a bylaw change to expand the CJCC membership to include the city administrator.
Yeah, so Vice Chair Judge Meyer and I discussed this, and she asked that we put it on the agenda. Essentially, we have Chief Atkinson, who is moving up in his command to city administrator. He has an interest in continuing on in some capacity. So this would be a way that we could formally incorporate the city administrator into our voting bylaws. Other communities with CJCC certainly have mayors and other city administrators and executives as part of the decision-making team. It really does allow for just more collaboration when we're talking about cities and counties working together and with their states as well. But essentially, this would be an executive responsibility. So the executive, it would have to be on the executive agenda and brought before the executive committee. And then if they approved, it would go on to the CJCC for full approval. That's the what's in our bylaws as far as bylaw changes. So merely for informational purposes at this point. But if there's continued interest, we can put it on the next meeting for executive.
Sarah, when is that next meeting? If you know of that, oh, maybe it's on here.
Yep, it is
Yeah.
June 7th if we have a combined executive operations meeting. So just next month.
All right. Then I guess we can go on to the next item unless there's any other discussion on or questions about the expanding the CJCC membership. Okay, hearing none. Moving on to public safety assessment, PSA implementation and pretrial report. I think that's Sandy.
Yes, thanks, Andrea. So I'm just going to start with giving a real quick history of from 2020 until today, just to kind of bring newcomers up to speed with these changes we're looking at. So in December of 2020, we proposed to our EBDM committee to transition from the use of the Compass County pretrial assessment, which is housed in the North Point suite, which is currently what I use to get a pretrial risk assessment score on individuals that I meet with when they're brought into the jail. The proposal was to transition to the PSA, which is the public safety assessment. And that group approved that at that time. So what I've been working on over the last couple of years is to get the public safety assessment built into our current case management system that we use for our treatment opportunity program and treatment court program. And to make things short and sweet, we've just run into a lot of glitches and they haven't been able to fulfill what we're asking for. So earlier this year, APPR, which is Advancing Pretrial Policy and Research, I connected with them. They're kind of the leaders in the pretrial world. They offer a free public safety assessment app. So I've been working with our IT department and APPR, and we do have the app in place, and I've been able to run it on a couple of people kind of as a test run so that we can see how it looks. And it was included in the packet that Sarah sent out of what the report would look like. And the other thing that was included in the packet is the scoring information on the PSA. That was something that we already reviewed in December of 2020, but I included in the packet again, just for those who may not have been familiar with it, so that individuals would know how the scores are derived and what factors are looked at. The nice thing with the PSA compared to the Compass one that I'm using is it's very transparent, and everyone looking at the form will know what the responses are to those 9 factors so that everybody knows how a score is derived. Kind of the 3 big things we're looking at on that report, if I can find my copy of it, are the failure to appear scale, the new criminal arrest scale, and the new violent criminal arrest flag. So the maximum score is a 6 for the failure to appear score, along with the new criminal arrest scale. And the violence flag, it's just simply a yes or a no. The lower someone's score is, indicates a greater likelihood of success while on pretrial. And things that we're looking at that we define as being successful while on pretrial are showing up to court, not committing new crimes, and then also not committing new violent crimes. So with that, I'll just kind of leave it open for any questions or clarification that anybody has. I know, I guess I'll just add in there, I don't know how widely the form is used by anybody. I send it out to the judges, DA's office staff, and the public defenders. I can just say firsthand, I've heard Andrea's staff reference the pretrial score, on the current forms that I use in making arguments for bond. I don't know that the judges look at it real widely. I don't know that the defense uses it, but it's an evidence-based practice that's, been in place that we've been utilizing since 2017. It's also not meant to replace anybody's judicial decision-making. It's just simply a tool to enhance that.
So Sandy, do you know if Wisconsin, given the constitutional amendment expanding what the judges can look at now, are they going to be trying to develop a different assessment, which includes violent crimes? Or
I haven't heard anything like that at all, Andrea. I don't know if you have, Sarah. I mean, I stay pretty up to date on those types of things coming up, but I have not seen anything like that at all yet. I'd be happy to share if anyone wants to know what's considered a violent offense for purposes of the PSA. It's pretty expansive and broad. In order for someone to be flagged as violent on that public safety assessment, they've got to have a score of 4, 5, 6, or 7. And you can see on the example that I sent out, that person was not flagged as being violent. And it's because he only had a score of 1, which was on number 6, a prior violent conviction. Because there's certain things that feed into each of those scales that derives that score, which is the other information that was sent out. And if anybody wants, clarification on that, I'd be happy to do that in a separate meeting if there's a need for it.
So I've got a little bit additional information. There was a state CJCC evidence-based decision-making subcommittee work group meeting last week. So this would essentially be the state's CJCC subgroup. And they discussed this. There are 6 pilot sites that are using the PSA currently. Those are like Chippewa, Eau Claire, Rock, La Crosse, Waukesha, Marathon, I think. So they're already implementing the PSA and using kind of a state matrix, kind of basically the offenses that are based in statute. It sounds like as far as that bail constitutional amendment that the legislature is reviewing, kind of how to define what is violent, and they're starting with the established statutes right now. So I think we'll be able to hear from the state subcommittee really kind of the progress of that or the status of that. But essentially, this is what the other sites are doing. It really isn't much different than we're already using. It's just a different tool. Currently, we use the Compass pretrial risk, which is essentially not validated and no longer supported. So that's why we had to make the switch to a validated assessment tool, and the PSA is really the best that's out there right now. The state is gathering data and outcomes from the current pilot sites, so they hope to make that more available to other sites. But this is something that really we were kind of forced to make that change. And then because we're switching the automated system, the format of the report is going to look different. So What we're still continuing to do, or what Sandy will continue to do, is to do that pretrial screening for substance abuse and mental health. That's just a flag to let us know that there are needs in those areas, and perhaps a treatment court or a treatment opportunity or some sort of treatment component would make sense for that individual. And then Sandy will continue just to indicate whether that potential would be a referral for treatment court or TOP. It's the format is just going to look different, but it is essentially the same information. And it does provide just more transparency on how we get those scores, what questions go into those scores. And just like the assessment now is just one of those factors that the judges can look at, or the defense and prosecution can look at to kind of steer.
Any questions or comments from anyone about Sandy's presentation about the public safety assessment? Okay, well, thank you, Sandy, for doing that, and sharing that information.
Welcome.
Next item is local challenges, collaborations, and priorities. So, this is just sort of like we can discuss any changes within our departments or anything that would be helpful for others to know. You don't have to add anything, but I guess I would add that our new changes, Sarah, as our new victim witness coordinator. Sarah, I don't know if you want to add anything about your work history briefly. I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I worked 20 years with the state of Wisconsin. I've worked as a correctional officer, probation officer, and the last 10 years I was with the sex offender registry. So a lot of knowledge in that regard. So I do know a lot of stuff of what you're referring to, but excited for this new challenge. So
Thank you. Yeah, so we're sending Sarah and another victim witness assistant to a training next week, and then it's also the state prosecutor training, and I think it's judicial training as well. So it'll be a short, a light office next week. So tell anyone not to commit any crimes. So it's nice and easy. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
I had just a couple of things. One is, I guess maybe, I don't know if this is emerging or ongoing. But let's see, on the law enforcement deflection diversion side, we're probably going to call a meeting together. Oh, we got Judge Meyer coming in with Chief Hollister, Sheriff Biggs, and some of the others to really start to formulate the law enforcement diversion. They've been up and running with deflection, and that the flyer is in the packet. But we're ready to start to kind of hammer out the diversion side and what that might look like. And we probably need some folks trapped in a room for a couple hours to hammer out some of these decisions. So we're going to be looking to schedule that at some point here. And Andre, I'm going to extend that out to you if you're able to join us, just from the DA's perspective, and you being chair of the CJCC. But that there's a lot going on there, which is fantastic. And we also have some meetings coming up with the DA's office to talk about TOP in particular, but noticing a trend that family treatment court participants are getting referred to TOP. And so we're just trying to look at the services and redundancies, and sometimes those make sense to be in different programs, but sometimes they're the same services that are going on where people are in probation, TOP, family treatment court, or treatment court. So really just trying to ensure we're maximizing our resources and working together. overall. So those were just a couple of things I had to add. Oh, we got former Chief Atkinson joining in here now.
So Judge Meyer, we're jumping in on local challenges, collaborations, priorities, anything within your departments or any changes or that you want to share with others. So, anyone else have anything they want to add?
Here I talked, but I was on mute. I don't think that I have any local challenges, collaborations, or priorities that I think need to be addressed by the CJCC, but thank you for asking.
Sure. Rick, I know you've been with the PD for a really long time. So, I'm sure it was a pretty easy transition, but anything changes in your department or given that transition?
There always, yeah, especially when former Chief Atkinson left, if you promote from within on the top, there's a lot of movement. So we've got 2 new commanders. I actually should take Chris King was a commander, but he moved from the administrative investigative side to the operations where he'll supervise the patrol. Lieutenant Brian Hagan was moved into Chris's position of admin commander and investigations. And we're currently going to fill a patrol spot for a lieutenant. And then we have 2 it'll be 2 vacancies after we fill our next officer spot. So a lot of stuff cooking right now.
And is it Officer Berg and Merrifield? They have their other office now at the county building, or do you?
Yes. Yes.
Is that where they always are now, or are they kind of going back and forth?
That'll be their main stage, and that's where they'll be working out of. And Aaron stops into the police department in the morning, and before he starts his shift, just to keep that face-to-face contact and bring us up to speed on anything. And then he'll end his day. He'll usually stop in at the end of his day also. But most of their stuff, their clients and everything is at the Human Services building. So that's probably the best place for them.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else, anything to share about their changes? Eric, we already talked about the bylaw change to expand membership, but anything you want to share about that or your new employment?
Well, working on understanding the nuances of the new job, and also I can share this on behalf of the mayor. The mayor still strongly supports the endeavors of the